What up, everybody? How's it going? This is yours truly, Rama Screen. I just came back after doing a couple of live stream for you guys about Tenet and Wonder Woman 1984. Um, but I wanna ask you this, as because it's been a while since I do an editorial. If you check out the editorial segment of Rama Screen YouTube channel, it's been inactive for quite some time because we haven't had a discussion for quite some time. So I'm gonna start a segment calling it poll. Okay, so I did a poll on Twitter and I did a poll for you guys also on the YouTube community regarding this question to see what you guys think of it. So I want to show you the result of those polls that I did or conducted, if you will, on both Twitter and YouTube. Now, mind you that these polls are not scientific polls, okay? These are not one of those CNN Gallup polls, okay? This is just like asking you guys whether or not, or asking you guys which position or which side of the argument that you guys are on. That's basically the purpose of these polls, and it's very basic, nothing scientific about it, okay? So the question is, do you think that actors and filmmakers should be canceled or fired from their job or from their gig over old tweets that they posted from years ago? All right. So as you can see here, I have an example here, or three examples of those said public figures who have experienced such, I guess you could say, scrutiny, all right, over what they tweeted, and they paid the price for it. So, Kevin Hart, if you will, if you remember, you remember a few years ago, he was supposed to host the Oscars. The Academy was like, they announced, oh, Kevin Hart's going to host the upcoming Oscars. And everybody's like, woo! And then uh, the cancel culture people on Twitter, you know how they are. They dig up old stuff, trying to bring you down, and they succeeded. They dig up, or they dug up old tweets of Kevin Hart where he joked around about LGBTQ in the past. I don't want to repeat it here because I don't want this video to get demonetized. But he it was they were tasteless jokes, and the thing with jokes is that it's subjective. What you think is funny, I may not think of it as funny. What I think is funny, you may not think of it as funny. So it's not objective. And I think he also made make those jokes around, or build it surrounding his perception of his kids. Like, hey, don't do that, otherwise you'll grow up, gay or whatever. I don't know the specific of it. We're not gonna go dig up the specifics of it, but it was around the LGBTQ community stuff. So James Gunn, if you remember, a couple of years ago, he got fired. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's before I get ahead of myself here. Kevin Hart, because of those tweets, he ultimately did not, or he ultimately got dropped from hosting the Oscars. Now, some say Kevin Hart is the one who resigned because he was very resistant about, like, hey, what, why do you have to crucify me over like old tweets, so you know what, screw you guys, I'm not gonna be hosting the Oscars. um Reports stated that that is what happened, as opposed to him being fired from his gig by the Academy. So anyway, now on to James Gunn. James Gunn got fired a couple of years ago. As you know, he was supposed to, or he was set to direct, he was set to return to write and direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And by summer 2018, I believe, during Comic Con, everybody at Comic Con was like, "Oh my God!" It blew up on everybody's Twitters, right? Everybody looking at their phones, like, James Gunn got fired by Disney. What in the world? And it was over tweets from like a decade ago, some even like older than that. And again, jokes that are tasteless. I guess he thought they were funny. Some of them about the Expendables and kids. Again, I don't want to get into the details here. I don't want to get this video to be demonetized. Probably they will anyway. So he got fired, and the rest of the story. Later on, he got rehired. So Disney rehired him again after a long talks between him and Disney executives, and apparently he was very apologetic about it. And of course, as you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy cast members vouch for him. They all sign a petitions like, "Hey, we don't want to come back if James Gunn doesn't come back." So the story had a happy ending. Okay, so James Gunn is gonna come back after he's done with Suicide Squad sequel, and which brings us to this past week, Hartley Sawyer, the third man here, that you see in this image. So he got fired from the Flash series. Now, if you haven't watched the Flash, don't worry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to poo-poo the show, but the quality of the storytelling on that show has gone downhill for quite some time. Okay, but he actually plays one of my favorite characters, Elongated Man, Ralph Dibny. I like that character, and I always think that Hartley Sawyer sort of has that. He looks kind of like Jim Carrey. I mean, like, if they ever made a movie about Jim Carrey, I think Hartley Sawyer, just by appearance alone, he could pass, as a guy that looks like and could play Jim Carrey, in my opinion. So he plays Elongated Man, a sidekick, a co-superhero, helping out the Flash every now and then. He was recurring at first, and now he became a series regular this past season. And he got fired. So this is from Deadline this past week, so it's pretty fresh, June 8th. Hartley Sawyer, who played Ralph Dibny, Elongated Man on the CW series The Flash for the past 3 seasons, has been fired after old social media posts with racist and misogynistic references recently resurfaced. A joint statement provided to the Deadline from Warner Brothers TV, the CW, Berlanti Productions, and executive producer Eric Wallace says, "In regards to Mr. Sawyer's posts on social media, we do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation. Such remarks are antithetical to our values and policies, which strive and evolve to promote a safe, inclusive, and productive environment for our workforce." Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that statement at all. So Harley's Twitter account has been deleted, has been wiped out. But apparently some of the things he said was the only thing keeping me from doing mildly racist tweet is the knowledge that Al Sharpton would never stop complaining about me. And he also said some horrible stuff about women. So we're not going to get into that. But he got fired. He's done. He's donezo. So I did a poll both on Twitter and YouTube to ask what you guys think about it. Let me see here. So here are the results, okay? So I just gave you the long context there. Woo, that was a meaty context. So I asked either Kevin Hart's tweets that cost him his Oscar host gig or James Gunn's tweets that cost him his Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 job. To today's case, Hartley Sawyer, let me ask you this poll question. Do you think actors/filmmakers should be canceled or fired over tweets they posted from years ago? So look at the result. See it there? Let me make it bigger for you to get here. So 9.4% says yes. 9.4% says yes. 43.4% of you guys on Twitter says no. And the most result is it depends. 47.2% says it depends. I could not elaborate further because Twitter has limitations. YouTube as well too. So I can it depends on this and this and this. So I guess it's open to interpretation about it depends. My colleague Terrence, good guy from my fellow Hollywood Critics Association member, he said, unless they've apologized and made active amends, they absolutely should be let go. No different than a regular employer doing a background check on an employee. And so let's see what you guys said on Twitter. I'm sorry, on YouTube community, Rama Screen YouTube community. I asked the same question. 38 votes went in. All right. I think Twitter had 53 votes. So you guys get 38 of you guys voted. So the result, 16% of you guys said yes. 47% of you guys said no. And 37% of you guys said it depends. Lorianne White left a comment, says, only if they claim hatred for any individual groups, blacks, gays, transgender, etc. Orion says, definitely, the guy was nearly 30, making jokes about rape and wanting to mutilate homeless women. There's no excuses for that. Yeah, that's the tweet that I don't want to show you guys, but that's basically what Hartley said in his tweets. And again, just like in the case of James Gunn and Kevin Hart, you can file them all under tasteless jokes. Okay, not cool. I'm not condoning what Hartley tweeted or what James Gunn tweeted at all. So that's the result. As you could see on YouTube community, more of you guys said no by 47%. The 47% on Twitter says it depends, not on the no category. So that's interesting, if you ask me. But before I end this video, I just want to ask you guys, so what is it depends? What do you think should depend on, like, because, according to Terrence, unless they have apologized and made active amends, which I don't know what form does that, come in. Like, in what form is that supposed to be? Is it like an open letter to apologize to the public? Open letter to the executives? Maybe hard. Like, and then, so if James Gunn can get rehired, can that same fortune happen to Hartley Sawyer? If he really actively, like Terrence says, make amends, if he actively makes amends and actively apologizes for the next few weeks or next few months, will that be sufficient enough for him to have the same fortune that James Gunn did? So what I'm asking you is that, is there a grace period for such a thing? Will there be a time when the Academy down the road in the near future, they'll be like, you know what? It's been long enough that we have been angry at Kevin Hart for his tweets. We've been angry long enough. It's over now. Let's have him host the Oscars. Like, what is that grace period? And is such a grace period, and does such a grace period apply to Hartley Sawyer or not? Or maybe James Gunn's case is very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Rare, that it'll never happen again to anybody anymore, right? It only happened to James Gunn, and he's an anomaly. He's lucky. He got accepted back to the fold of Disney. But everybody else, they're screwed. So, what do you guys think this? What do you guys think of this? I'm sorry. It's quite the conundrum. Like, we've all made mistakes, right? Not all of us obviously have tweeted horrible things like James Gunn, Kevin Hart, and Hartley Sawyer did. But we've tweeted some bad stuff probably in the past. If you look up some of my tweets from like 5-6 years ago, I may have said some terrible jokes. So should that be held against me for all my life? Should that be held, like an albatross around my neck? That, oh my God, we're gonna blacklist Rama because of that tweet or that tweet. I remember Trevor Noah. The transition from Jon Stewart to Trevor Noah. Do you remember that? When the Daily Show was making the move from Jon Stewart, who's leaving, and Jon Stewart bestowed the show onto Trevor Noah. And immediately everybody dug up old jokes that Trevor Noah posted on Twitter. And many of them are pretty bad. I'm not going to repeat it here. But he's lucky. Comedy Central came to his defense. Comedy Central was like, no, we're not going to cancel him. Or no, we're not going to like drop him just because, he made some bad jokes in the past. So Trevor Noah almost got fired or almost got dropped or almost got canceled, but he got saved by Comedy Central. James Gunn got fired, but months later got rehired by Disney. All is forgiven. We don't know yet the fate for Kevin Hart and the Academy and hosting the Oscars. Maybe we'll hear that soon enough. But what about Hartley Sawyer? Is it because Hartley Sawyer's public figure or public status is not as big as James Gunn? Maybe screw him. That's it. You're done in this town. Like, I don't know. Is there a grace period? What could Hartley Sawyer do to be as lucky as James Gunn? So I guess that's my question. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. And thank you so much, you guys, for participating in the polls, whether it be the polls on the Twitter or the polls on YouTube community. You guys are awesome. Always please engage and participate whenever I post those polls, okay? And engage in the discussion. That's it. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of this. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about this. And as always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell. And if you can help support me, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.